Welcome in. After the 3-day weekend, the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN Radio. Hope you had a great weekend. Eric Sean and the lead singer of the Mike Rennick Band in studio. Inviting you to join us. Here is the EBOMD Huddle Hotline number 573-334-1220. 573-334-1220. The Huddle Hotline powered by EBOMD. It is a Tuesday after the holiday. That means we'll get a Tuesday Marty party going. The Love Shack Marty Mishaud joins us a little bit later on in the show. Mike Rennick in studio. Little extra time thanks to Memorial Day. How was your holiday weekend?
It was good. You wanted to say Monday Marty party, didn't you?
It's a Monday Marty party, push back to Tuesday.
These weeks are odd. You got to keep telling yourself, like today, all day long, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Because then you'll think.
It's not just that. The final week of the regular season in college baseball starts on a Thursday. So that screws me up. Then you go to the tournament. And what day is it? It's Thursday. No, wait. When the tournament starts on Wednesday. So then everything's screwed up. And then right after the tournament's over, it's Memorial Day. Like, I'm pretty sure we get Memorial Day off. So what day is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. No, weekend was good, though. It was, weather-wise, I know it was a little dreary. Most, you think about Memorial Day weekend, being outside, maybe the pool season kicking off, the lake, barbecuing, and don't know how much of that was done with some of the weather, but it was cool, which temperatures were good, which I kind of liked, but no, just a lot going on. We were in St. Louis for a little softball action over the weekend for a couple of days.
How'd that turn out?
It could have been better.
All right.
Could have been better. And then, around the house. I have a daughter who turned 12 today, and
big day.
She loves basketball, so we put a new goal up yesterday for her. And
now, is this the kind that's got the base that you have to weight down?
It is a portable goal.
Yep.
We had to arm wrestle. Was it going to be an in-ground or a portable or whatever the case was. So
a little cheaper to get the portable than go in ground.
Well, it just depends on what you get. You can find some cheaper in ground goals, but no, got it all together yesterday. And
all right, what'd you use to put in the base? Sand or water?
Well, water, but my wife. So we had a goal previous to this that. Sometimes, even with the water, would get a little, the wind would start kicking up and it'd start, swaying and went down a couple of times. But she found some, the big, like if you have a dog and they have a big leash, you have those big screws that go into the ground.
Right.
So there's a pretty simple contraption that's got 2 screws like that, and then a ratchet strap across that runs from one to the other. So you put that over the base of the goal, dig those into the ground, pull that strap tight, and that goal doesn't go anywhere. So we have a couple of those on it, along with the water that will go in.
Marvelous.
Yeah, stays pretty good. So.
Ours would blow over on occasion. You get a really windy storm that comes through, and you come out, and it'd be laying down. It is getting knocked down. Then you got to. Did the rim get bent?
You got to pull it. Yeah. We went through all that. But these storms that we've had, and we've had plenty of wind come through here. Right? It's stayed up.
Nice.
So fingers crossed, the new one will maintain the same way. But. My daughter loves basketball, so she'll use it, Sometimes you put those things up and they just become, eyesores, but she will use it for sure.
And your driveway, is there any slope to it?
Nah, not really.
Okay, see, that's
there's maybe a tad,
It can get tricky if your driveway slopes a little too much.
No, it could be a little, I guess, flatter, but it's nothing terribly
Sounds
noticeable.
like it's a good setup.
Yeah, it's a good setup. We have a lot of evening and weekend games going on with the neighborhood kids in the driveway. So.
See, that's critical too. Does she have friends similar age in the neighborhood that can come over and play some hoops?
Yeah. She does. They're all but one are boys, so she likes to get out there and mix it around with them, and whether it be a 3-on-3 game or horse or whatever. So it's a good present for her.
Perfect. Well, happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
Number 12. All right. We've got Cardinal baseball today, had it yesterday, and this is why you never look at anything on paper, because on paper, Cardinals are hot, coming off a 3-game sweep of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are, in most people's thought process, probably going to at least challenge for a wild card slot. Bad break that they lost Corbin Burns. And I don't know how long Burns is out. And as far as going into the series against the Baltimore Orioles, everybody that writes for Major League Baseball, they have pretty much all been in unison with saying the most disappointing team in the sport is the Baltimore Orioles. So bad that they fired manager Brandon Hyde after they've been to the playoffs the last 2 years. 2 years ago, they won 100 games. They won 91 games last year and took a wild card. So they've had some injuries in their starting pitching. Their big free agent acquisition in the starting pitching realm was 41-year-old Charlie Morton, who got the start yesterday. So you're thinking, okay, last place Orioles, you've got Morton, who looks to be washed at 0-7 with an ERA near 8. And this team is so bad, they just fired their manager and didn't win for several games after they fired their manager. Usually you get the fired coach bump where everybody rallies and you play real well for a while.
Yeah.
And they had become just the third team in Major League Baseball this year that has never won 3 games in a row. So you had all that going for you. Winless starting pitcher, last place, didn't get the manager bump. They haven't won 3 consecutive games all season, but they went into yesterday having won 2 in a row. And, of course, Morton is vintage Charlie Morton. Cardinals get 4 hits in the baseball game and lose to the last place Baltimore Orioles. And to add insult to injury, it was former Cardinal Dylan Carlson, who had been so bad he couldn't get to the major leagues, minor league contract. So because of an injury, they called Dylan Carlson to the big leagues. He's hitting 133 going into play against the Cardinals, and did this.
Carlson to right center field. That's up the alley. That ball is gone. The former Cardinal Carlson with a 3-run crush to right center. And the O's have opened it up. A little Redbird revenge for Dylan Carlson.
This is a bullet. You think it's going to be a double, but it just flies right out of here. And when it comes down, the Orioles lead by 5.
Well, you can't even write the narratives. Last place team, never won 3 in a row. Pitcher hadn't won a game all freaking year and is lucky to still be in the bigs with an ERA of 7.68. Dylan Carlson, who the Cardinals, you know why he got called up to the big leagues?
No, I don't.
Because Tyler O'Neill went on the injured list.
Imagine that.
Yet again. That's why he even got the call to the big leagues. Now, he had homered in the game before yesterday, and then he is the one that beats the Cardinals. It's a 3-run homer to give them 5 runs, and they won by that margin, 3 runs.
Well, yeah, that is the insult to injury, obviously. I was reading the pregame preview, and he's quoted in it, and I'm like, he plays for the Orioles. Had no idea where he was at. But that game, that was just an odd game yesterday. I mean, the runs that the Orioles scored were, kind of, they all came on defensive miscues for the most part, or at least were set up by them because first inning, Nolan Gorman's playing third base because Nolan Arenado had made a Hall of Fame catch the game before.
Yeah, it was a great catch.
Into the net. I mean, that obviously helped the Cardinals win. He hurt his back. So
he went crashing into a chairback seat.
Second time this year he's caught. I mean, that was like identical. I mean, that's like an identical catch. But Gorman throws wide to second, which keeps the inning going, and then, Orioles score. And then I believe before the Carlson at bat, Donovan was trying to turn two,
right,
and turned to throw to second, hit the runner in the back, and by hitting the runner in the back, everybody was safe, and that ended up giving Carlson a shot to hit the home run. So, and I don't think Donovan had committed an error all season long.
That is correct,
and that was his first. Mason Wynn hasn't committed an error. Unless he did yesterday, and I just didn't pay any attention to it. But those runs all set up in some way by some odd plays defensively, which you haven't seen out of the Cardinals. I mean, they've been solid in the field. So
no, it was just Gorman and Donovan committed the errors, and they have been as good as any defensive team in the sport.
Absolutely, yeah. So You felt like coming in the Cardinals had won 4 straight, I think. Obviously 3 straight because they swept Arizona. No, they'd won 3 straight.
They
lost to
that
Detroit
last game against Detroit.
Yeah, so and the Reds, geez, they did nothing to help the Cardinals against the Cubs. They had a couple big leads and squandered those. Let the Cubs, come back.
The Reds were up 7-3 and 8-4.
Yeah, I mean
and lost.
You got to hold
11-8.
You got to hold those leads. But anyway, I think you got good momentum going in, and Charlie Morton decides to, finally pitch well.
He's still got
a game.
He's still got the velo. I mean, if you saw his fastball, I mean, he's 94 a lot.
Was he? I was listening. I wasn't watching, but did enough to beat the Cardinals, obviously.
So a 3-game winning streak now for the Baltimore Orioles. And as you mentioned, no help from Cincinnati for the Redbirds. And now the Cardinals are 3 games out. Right now it's 30-24. The last place Orioles are now only 15 games under 500 at 19-34. And tonight, and it's a 5:45 start, Andre Palante versus 35-year-old Japanese right-hander Tomoyuki Sagano. And as far as I know, Cardinals have never seen Sagano.
Is this, I read an article, Michaelis is familiar with him.
Michaelis loves him.
Yeah. Did they play together? Did they play against each other when Michaelis was overseas? Not exactly sure what that relationship is there, but
and Sagano has been good, 4-3, 307 earned run average. He's got a winning record for a team that's 15 games under 500.
Yeah. So we know the Cardinals' history on pitchers they've never seen before. It doesn't seem to go very well for them, but maybe it's a new approach. There has been a new approach to their offense, so maybe that'll help. And not to I know you got to win your own games, obviously, but Cardinals getting no help will get no help from Colorado as they take on Chicago in a 3-game series. 9 wins. I had to look at that like a couple of times.
Yet another team who has jettisoned their manager, Bud Black, got the short haircut.
Oh, man. Not good. Not good at all.
it is historically bad. Right now, they are on pace to potentially have the lowest winning percentage in the history of Major League Baseball. Now, we've obviously got a long way to go, and you're coming off a year where the Chicago White Sox were historically the worst team in the history of the sport, yet the White Sox have 17 wins this year, and the Rockies have 9. They are 9-45. The Colorado Rockies are already 24.5 games out in the National League West.
So what is that? I mean, what have we played? About 2 months of the season? We had a full 2 months?
April, May. So we're almost
close-ish.
Almost to June.
So you got a 6-month schedule roughly. 9 wins in the first 2 months. That doesn't average out very well for the Rockies.
I mean, it's got bad news written all over it.
Yeah.
And, when you're 24.5 games out, they're 24 games behind the team that employs Shohei Ohtani.
Ohtani climbs in. Williams has one that he likes, and off we go with Ohtani blasting the ball. Way gone! 1 pitch, 1 swing, 1 run.
I haven't ever seen you, but I see the ball very well through those shadows with that swing. Put the Dodgers on top 1-0.
It's his 5th leadoff home run of the season. 2nd game in a row that he's done that. Now 19 overall to lead the majors. He is on his own level.
So it's back-to-back home runs to lead off the game in the last 2 games for Shohei. As you heard, 5th time he's led off a Dodger game with a home run. 19 home runs to lead Major League Baseball. And, oh, by the way, Aaron Judge is 2nd. It's Aaron Judge and Kyle Schwarber, who have 18, one behind Ohtani. Schwarber is in his walk year, by the way. 32 years old.
32 walk year.
When he became a free agent before the Phillies signed him, Jess and I were on this show. Go get him.
Yeah. Especially with the DH, right?
Yes.
And that was right around when the DH was going to become a full-time thing.
And he is not a butcher in the outfield.
No.
Not great.
Right.
So,
Does he still bat leadoff for the...
No, they dropped him.
They dropped him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of... He still bats leadoff on occasion. Other times, Rob Thompson drops him in the lineup. So he moves around, but he is not their exclusive leadoff hitter.
I see.
As he has been.
I see.
But he still bats leadoff on occasion. Aaron Judge, by the way, has now slipped below 400, Mike.
Ooh.
Yeah, 398 for Aaron Judge. And number 2 in Major League Baseball, batting average.
Number 2. Let me guess. Paul Goldschmidt.
He's 4th.
He's 4th.
Wrong league.
Wrong league. I mean, it's not Brendan Donovan. No. He was up there for a while.
Yeah, he's at 328. It's a little further down.
I want to say Ivan Herrera, but he doesn't have enough at bats.
Right, he doesn't have enough at bats.
Yeah.
It's Freddie Freeman right now. 361.
Freddie Freeman. I should know that. He's on my fantasy team.
For Freeman. Oh, he's on your fantasy team and you still didn't get it.
That shows you how well I do in that league.
So
361. Is that what you said?
Yeah. And speaking of Freeman, do you remember the challenge that he and his family went through last year?
I do.
His son?
Right, I do.
So he and his wife, Chelsea, are donating $1 million to Children's Hospital of Orange County, where their son Maximus recovered last year after a severe case of Guillain-Barré syndrome. And it left him in the pediatric intensive care unit for more than a week last year. Freeman told ESPN, seeing every room full in the PICU each and every day impacted Chelsea and I deeply. Getting to know the doctors, nurses, and care teams and seeing how they show up each day to bring healing and hope to kids and their families was inspiring, and they saved Maximus's life. And so they are donating $1 million. And the only reason I was even familiar with Guillain-Barré syndrome. You ever heard of it?
I had not, no.
Neither had I until, I don't know, man, it's got to be more than 10 years ago now. The head men's basketball coach at Tennessee Tech, the guy named Mike Sutton, right, came from Kentucky. Mike Sutton was their head coach. He's walking through a parking garage, and all of a sudden, down he goes, unconscious. They rush him to the hospital, and he is diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. And for the longest time, he couldn't really move very well, and he ended up coming back to coaching and coached from a wheelchair.
Wow.
At Tennessee Tech before he eventually retired. But he was stricken with Guillain-Barré syndrome. And that's the only reason when I saw the story about Maximus Freeman that I even knew what Guillain-Barré was, and it's extremely rare in children. Not as rare in adults, but it's a super rare condition. But the good news is oftentimes kids can rebound from this thing. Oftentimes, I mean, it can kill you.
Sure.
And oftentimes you may not recover as an adult. I don't think that, there were times when he would be on his feet on the sideline, Mike Sutton, but he had the crutches, with the arm slings there, and, could, move around on the sideline and, in a wheelchair. Marty Mischow will remember that with Mike Sutton. But
sure.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
$1 million.
It is. Obviously, their family was, as he said in that quote, saw firsthand, what was going on at that hospital. And, you spend a little time in those situations. And obviously, that's not where kids need to be if they don't have to be. And great of him and his family to give back, You hope you see that once in a while with some of these professionals that have the ability, but it's obviously their money to do with what they want. But I know there are probably a ton of athletes and others that do things.
Oh yeah,
that don't make. No one even knows. Nobody even knows. So
I'm sure Freddie Freeman's team. And he's got a team, whether it's an agent, lawyer, whatever. I'm sure they didn't put out a press release about it.
Right.
But guys like Freddie Freeman, I don't know if you ever saw an E60 about Freeman and his life and being raised by his dad when his mom passed away when he was young.
Yeah, I didn't see that, no.
Anyway, you could probably Google it and find it. ESPN produced it. It's just impossible not to root for good guys like Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just the way I feel. Yeah. How do you root against? You may not like the Dodgers.
Right.
But how do you not like Freddie Freeman?
And now, did he hit the grand slam last year?
First walk-off grand slam in the World Series.
Was that game one? Game one, yeah.
Also, Baltimore Orioles news. Now, this came about a week ago, but you remember Kyle Gibson had a decent year for the Cardinals.
Right.
Well, Orioles fans were just going nuts because they finally got rid of the Angelos family who sold the team. The new owner comes in. We're going to spend money. We're going to do this and that. Their big signing was Charlie Morton. One of their other signings, because they've had injuries in the starting pitching, is Kyle Gibson. He pitched so horrifically that after 4 starts, they designated him for assignment. It looks like it's over. He cleared waivers. Somebody may want to bring Kyle Gibson in, but that's how things have been going for the Baltimore Orioles.
Until
the Cardinals come to town.
He was with them, right?
Yeah,
and he came
four starts.
Well, prior
the year before, yes, he had a decent run with Baltimore,
right?
And that was their 100-win season.
Okay,
so he had a lot of wins.
Yeah,
not a superlative earned run average, but good enough to get a free agent contract from the Cardinals.
Right.
Over the weekend, I don't know if you saw it, and I don't know how much you pay attention to
Indy racing.
No, the little stories about exit velocity.
Yeah, I probably didn't see that.
So, converted center fielder for the Pirates, O'Neal Cruz,
right,
hit a home run into the Allegheny.
Okay,
it's not out of the realm.
Sure,
balls make it out there. He hit that ball at 122.9 miles an hour. The StatCast era started in 2015. That is the hardest hit ball, period. Hardest hit ball in the StatCast era, surpassing his own record of 122. And then the next three hardest hit balls are Giancarlo Stanton.
Man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had that a type of velo in his bat.
And then another StatCast thing that happened, who I believe, is the best pitcher in the sport, and we got to see him pitch in St. Louis. Cardinals actually scored a few runs against Tarek Skubal.
Mm-hmm.
He pitched his first complete game in his career, under 100 pitches. His final pitch of the day was 102.6 miles an hour with 2 outs in the ninth.
Wow.
To get his 13th strikeout. It is the fastest strikeout pitch by a starting pitcher since the tracker era began for pitches in 2008. There has not been a starting pitcher that has thrown a baseball 102.6 until Tarek Skubal did it over the weekend.
I watched him pitch against the Cardinals, and I just didn't realize he threw that hard. I didn't realize that was his, part of his repertoire, I guess. Being a lefty, sometimes you think they got, just other filthy pitches, and, man, he can bring it.
Boy, he and Garrett Crochet, who is now Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
Big, strong. Now, Crochet's bigger than Skubal, but big, strong left-handed guys that can hit triple digits if they need triple digits.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got great off-speed stuff and just wipe you out sliders and, cutters and change-ups. Pretty impressive stuff.
But he's throwing 97, 98, and it's just easy. I mean, look, just, at least against that, the game against the Cardinals, it's just easy. And, boy, 102.6. I mean, that's what do you do with that in the batter's box?
I mean, it's filth.
Yeah,
is what it is.
And that's got to, I know Helsley can kick it up there into the hundreds. I just think it looks different coming out of Skubal's hand. I mean, just from that side of the of the rubber, and just what he can obviously do with other pitches. I wouldn't care to have a bat in my hands against that.
So Bob Nightingale, baseball writer for USA Today, just recently put out his column. He's always got different notes in his columns. He did a couple of columns in the last few days, and one of them basically is, let me give you my award winners. MVP at this point, Cy Young at this point, and then other different topics like most dramatic return, biggest wasted performance, best bit of empathy, worst trade rumor was the Paul Skeens. The GM of the Pirates was asked about potentially trading Skeens. He shut it down immediately. Next question type thing. Well, one of his topics was this. Biggest ruination of front office plans. Who do you think won that award?
I think it'd be the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Cardinals' biggest ruination of front office plans. Nightingale writes, this was supposed to be year one of the rebuild where the Cardinals unload anyone and everyone of value this summer. Well, a funny thing has happened along the way. Cardinals manager Oli Marmol and the players have refused to listen. They find themselves hanging with the Cubs in the NL Central. Until they start losing, the Cardinals will have a whole lot of splaining to do if they dump all-star closer Ryan Helsley, Gold Glove third baseman Nolan Arenado, or starters Eric Fedde and Miles Michaelis at the trade deadline. Biggest ruination of front office plans.
I think you could dump Eric Fedde. I mean,
why do you hate Fedde? It's only 2 mediocre starts in a row.
Well, I don't think you're going to have a lot of in turmoil from the fans if you trade Eric Fedde, is what I'm kind of getting at. And you could probably, potentially find someone to fill that spot. But I guess it all depends on where they're at. I mean, yeah, I think it's a great. I was listening to a lot of KMOX this weekend up in St. Louis.
Right.
They had John Mozeliak on and Bernie Miklas on, and they're all like, what are we doing here? We're 2 months in now. The trade deadline is only 2 months away, really, and so and Mozeliak's just like, this is what we thought we might get if we, get everyone playing, at the top of their game, and he has the political way of talking around, the question or whatnot, but
yes, of course,
yeah, right, absolutely, yeah,
a lot of arbitrage.
I couldn't tell if he was wearing a bow tie in the interview.
whenever
I was listening, though,
with a sweater tied around his neck.
Yeah,
and one little nugget from Bob Nightingale. In addition to that, Nightingale, the Yankees are now aggressively searching for a right-handed bat, preferably a third baseman, while also looking for another starter. Just one note from Nightingale, looking for a right-handed bat, preferably a third baseman, and another starter.
Well, the thing to keep in mind, what did Arenado want to do? He wanted to win a World Series, right? That's what he wanted to win. So he holds the cards. The Cardinals can't trade him unless he gives the green light to be traded.
Did you mean to be punny there?
I didn't. Okay. I thought about it when it came out of my mouth, but I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
So what's his mindset? What is he thinking about the team? Because really, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to, does he think the team that he's currently on can make a run, for the World Series? It's really, it doesn't matter what Mo thinks or the front office thinks at this point, because it's all up to Arenado and what he thinks is going to be the best team for him to either stay with or go to win a World Series. And it sounds like that this roster of players is, and I know getting along well only goes so far, but that they're extremely tight in the clubhouse. They get along really well. Obviously, his defense, now he's not hitting worth a darn. Oh, yeah, he had a home run the other day, I guess.
Man, big triple.
Big triple, yeah. But still not, from the seasonality of things, he's not hitting great. But defensively, geez, that Arizona game, did you see that backhand pick he made, a little short hopper to third base? He does it like, as easy as anybody fields the routine ground ball. And that's obviously plays a huge part in their success right now. But it's up to him, ultimately. So it doesn't really matter what's available out there or what might be tradable assets from another team. If he wants to go, he'll go. If not, he's staying.
Thought it was an interesting nugget.
Yeah.
From Bobby Knight.
Do you think the Yankees would value his glove over his bat right now? Do you think it's more of a need a third baseman that can field the position at a high caliber, or do you think it's the bat?
What was the Yankees' downfall in the World Series?
Defense.
Their defense sucked.
Yeah. He would obviously...
He's not going to suck at third base.
No.
He's not the same guy when he was in his prime winning all those Gold Gloves, but he's still awfully darn good.
And he went to Marmol and moved himself down in the lineup. Batted sixth, I think, the last couple of games. Obviously, he'd be down in the lineup in a Yankees lineup that's loaded like it is. So it is an interesting nugget.
And Nolan Gorman filled in for him yesterday. 2 hits and a run scored.
Mm-hmm.
That batting average now up to 188, Mike.
Hey, maybe the Cardinals are thinking, okay, now we have found the replacement.
You want to see what Marty has to say about it?
Yeah, the Tuesday Marty party.
They released the bracket for the college baseball regionals yesterday.
And who will be the team from the OVC representing?
The Trojans from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. We say that in sports a lot, but I will tell you all of the superlatives of why it is unbelievable that Little Rock won the OVC tournament.
Yeah.
All right. We'll check in with the Love Shack. It's a Tuesday Marty party on the Sports Huddle. It's a Tuesday Marty party. The Love Shack, Marty Mischow is joining us on the EBOMD Huddle Hotline. Let's welcome in the Shack. And how was your weekend, Marty?
Good holiday weekend, and man, we have to just give our sincere appreciation on yesterday, Memorial Day, to all the vets who lost their lives to help make America the great country it is.
Amen to that. Thank you to everybody who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom that we enjoy. Marty, you and I were texting during Little Rock's run to the OVC Tournament Championship, and it is hard to believe this is a team in its final 14 regular season games that went 1-13. Let me say it again, 1-13, and they just came to SEMO the final weekend and were outscored 43-8 against the Redhawks, who swept them and pounded them. And then they go to Marion, Illinois, and go 5-0. They eliminate the Redhawks on their way to winning their first ever OVC championship. They beat Southern Indiana 10-1. They beat the Redhawks 9-7. 10-inning win over Eastern Illinois 9-8. They eliminated Lindenwood 4-1, and in the championship game, one of their runs was unearned, but they beat Eastern Illinois 2-1. How do you explain this run by a Little Rock team that looked like they were freaking done after the Redhawks dispatched of them?
Well, as Jess Bolin always said, and we say, and everybody says, associated with baseball, what's those 2 words? That's baseball, and really that's sports. I mean, but that was, I think it was the first 8 seed to win that tournament, wasn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, and, we talked last week, and we had both totally, first of all, hey, is Mike still there?
Yeah, Marty.
Mike, how you doing? I'm going to say something about Annie here in a minute, but let me finish with this. But anyway, talking last week, we had totally written, they looked so dead, not only against SEMO, but the whole last few weeks of the season. I didn't play close. The announcers, and I didn't watch all the games, the announcers on the ESPN Plus were saying that, they had some key injuries. And but anyway, there were guys that SEMO pounded that pitched in that tournament like that. Jack Klein, is it, Eric?
That's correct.
He came back on 2 days after pitching about 60, 70 innings and pitched a complete game in that final game, the Eastern Illinois would have had to win twice that day, but he pitched like 110 or something. I mean,
he threw 129 pitches in that game, Jack Klein.
And what was it, 2-1?
Yes.
I can't remember the score.
2-1 was the final.
And I can't remember who SEMO all pounded. I'm sure a couple of Little Rock pitchers did well against SEMO in short stints. And I said last week, I could possibly see him winning that first game just because Jackson Wells is a tremendous pitcher. And if he's on, he can probably beat anybody. Even against SEMO, SEMO didn't hit him that good. Remember, Eric, early in the game, he hit some batters, and he was kind of off. But after that, I thought, how the heck could they even cobble together a pitching staff to do anything? But just unbelievable. That's all you can say.
So now they are in the NCAA Regional. They are going to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where obviously they're the 4 seed. Marty, last year the SEC set a NCAA tournament record with 11 teams into the tournament. This year they broke that record, the SEC, 13 teams. In the entire field, there are only 2 teams that have a losing record, Little Rock and North Dakota State. Little Rock is 24-32, and I believe North Dakota State is 20-32. So only 2 teams have losing records. One of them is from the OVC. Obviously, I'm rooting for the OVC, but that's a little embarrassing that you get a team 8 games under 500 into the regional.
It is. Why do you think the OVC and in basketball, too, really slant it so the better seeds have the better percentage chance to win? Baseball, they slant it that way, which, the last thing a conference wants, the one-bid league, a lower league wants is exactly what you're saying, a team going in with that kind of record. Then without even researching the OVC, people are thinking, how bad must the OVC be? You know what I'm saying, Eric?
Yeah.
And just the people who don't really follow baseball, and it's really, I think, I heard Coach Horace say one time it was RPI ranked above the NBC this year at one point, maybe at the end. But it definitely looks bad. But I mean, you got to give the team credit. What's interesting, 2 of the last 3 years now, the team that had to win 2 elimination games ran through the tournament and won it. Eastern Illinois 2 years ago. Now they were the 5 seed, but you're still in the same spot as the 8 seed as far as having to win 2 elimination games. So, and I said, on the show, I said, what Eastern Illinois did might happen every 10 or 15 years. Well, it happened again 2 years later. So that's tournament baseball. But, man, the SEC, I think they got like 6 of the top 8 seeds, too, or something like that.
So the last 4 teams in Arizona State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Southern Cal, first 4 teams that were left out, Southeastern Louisiana, Troy, UConn, and Virginia. And Murray State, Marty, is in.
Yeah, Murray State, other than football and men's basketball, had a pretty darn good year. Their women's basketball won the NBC tournament, and now Murray, they tied for the regular season baseball and won the tournament. So other than the, sports most people follow, they're actually doing pretty good in that conference. But anyway, hey, real quick, I want to say, Mike, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, Marty.
Happy birthday to Annie. When was her birthday?
It's today.
Oh, today. Well, happy birthday.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you this. You'll get a kick out of this. I see Troy Cole a lot. I work out at the rec center, and they're doing drills a lot, and he's working out, on his own a lot. I always talk to him. What a nice kid. And I said, hey, Troy, I said, man, I know a family who's just elated the way you worked with their daughter last summer. And Troy just had a big smile on his face and said, Annie, yeah, I mean, he said, man, I really love working with her. I hope I can do it again. You know, I said, man, I saw her play a couple times, you know, and she's good. He said, man, she's really good. But anyway, I thought you'd get a kick out of that. Troy's always smiling anyway, but as soon as I mentioned, he mentioned Annie, and his face lit up. So he enjoyed working with her, and, man, he was impressed with how she plays.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, they worked together a few times last summer. It all actually came out of that the men's basketball camp. You know, I don't think the women held a camp last summer for youth age. Really, maybe for any age, since there's that, you know, the transition at the head coaching level.
That's too bad, because back in the day, you know, my daughter Chloe went to the SEMO women's basketball camp.
Well, there is one this summer.
Good.
There is one this summer. There's, I think it's June 19th, 20th, I think, and then the men have theirs. But anyway, she attended that camp. She was one of like 2 girls that were there, and Troy kind of took her under his wing, and then they were able to do a little training after the fact. Super. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, just a really, really, really nice guy. So hopefully they can connect again this summer.
Yeah, well, he was excited, but yeah, I'm sure they just didn't have the women's camp during the transition. It was probably hard to set everything up real quick, but yeah, so I don't know. Annie will have a tough choice whether to get in the boys' camp or the girls' camp.
Well, you know, they the boys' camp doing good marketing, sent out letters early. You know, Annie, you are invited to the camp, so that's where she's going to go. She wants to go to the boys' camp.
She wants to go to the boys' camp.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I told you know, I was working out some at that time when the camp was going on, and man, she more than held her own against those boys, and in a lot of instances, she was better than those boys.
Well, we don't need to tell her that, Marty.
No, don't let her know. But I mean, you know, we talked at when I saw her play in one of those league games. But you know, you never know how players develop. But I know you told me how much she loves it, and she loves working at it. So that's a good start.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She loves it, and always out shooting hoops.
Hey, Marty,
regular scheduled programming now.
Marty, are the Oklahoma City Thunder steamrolling their way to an NBA championship?
They've made believers out of me, man. I don't see them not winning it now. But I've been wrong many a time before on this stuff. But interesting game tonight, though, after the Knicks rally to beat the Pacers. So we'll see how that series turns. But, man, the Thunder, you know, they're living up to what they did in the regular season, no doubt.
So it's interesting. The Pacers, who have a 2-1 lead over the Knicks before they play tonight, opening round, they won their first 2 games against Milwaukee, dropped game 3, came back to win the next 2. Same thing against Cleveland. Won the first 2 on the road, and then they lost game 3 and then won the next 2. Against the Knicks, they win the first 2 on the road like they did against Cleveland, lose at home in game 3. They can't win a game 3, but will history repeat itself here, Marty, or will the Knicks tie this thing up?
I don't think so. I think the Pacers will. That's your pick, Eric. You had that called early, so you got to get kudos for that.
Boy, they had a 20-point lead. I know it was the first half, and 20-point leads clearly mean nothing in the NBA. And, you know, Boston had a couple of 20-point leads against the Knicks and lost both of those games. But it looked like they were just flat out better than the Knicks in Game 3. And give New York credit, they came back and found a way to win.
That's one thing about a series, you know, you can't. I mean, the Timberwolves just unbelievably destroyed Thunder in that Game 3, but it meant nothing for the next game. I mean, that's a great thing about series, you know. You played one game, and the Timberwolves had that kind of game, you know. Your best team would be out, so that's why they play these series, because it seems like one game to the next really doesn't matter that much.
And the Carolina Hurricanes would not go quietly into that good night. They get a couple of empty net goals late, and this is the one time we use this word, stave off elimination with the Florida Panthers. It's still 3-1 Florida, but it was a 3-0 shutout for the Carolina Hurricanes. So they still have a pulse, Mike.
They're still beaten. And then Dallas just whooped Edmonton on, was it Sunday, I think it was?
Edmonton whooping Dallas.
Or vice versa, 6-1. Yeah, Edmonton.
I mean, I can't prove it, and we'll have to see. But it looks like we are barreling our way to a Stanley Cup Finals rematch between the Oilers and the Panthers. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I don't want to hear from people, well, I saw this series last year. No, it went 7, and you got two teams that are awesome offensively.
Elite players.
Awesome offensive teams in the Panthers and the Oilers. I'd be just fine if that's the finals.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still a little bruised over the Blues not being in, the playoffs still. Well, I know that would have been another round, but so I kind of keep my distance at keeping an eye on it. But yeah, you went good long series. That's good for the game.
Marty, it sounds like Rennick's just given the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs a little side eye, and that's about it.
That is it. That is it.
I'll admit, hockey is not anymore. It used to be, man, when I was growing up, and the Blues were the expansion team, man. Me and my brother, I think I was like 10, he was 12, around that, man. We'd take the bus down that's back when parents let their kids do whatever they wanted. It wasn't my supervision. We'd go on our own and go to the arena, and you could get standing room tickets. And I mean, honestly, it's a long time to remember. I think they were only a couple bucks or something, but man, we got into the Blues. I go to bed with that little transistor under my transistor radio under my bed when they were on the West Coast, and I'd fall asleep, not hear most of the game, and wonder who won the game. It was one of those deals. And I still love following the Blues, but as far as general watching hockey, regular season, I'm not that into it. But, man, the hockey playoffs are really exciting, though, especially when you get, late in the series. And we talked before, there's nothing more exciting than a Game 7 of an overtime hockey game. How exciting is that when it could literally end at any second?
It's nerve-wracking.
And when the Blues were making their run in 2019, man, it's just, gosh, I'm going to have more gray hair after just watching this thing, because you're just, your stomach's doing somersaults the whole time. Yeah. I do say, and I like NBA playoffs. They're not as exciting as the NHL playoffs. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that I like hockey better than basketball. I'm saying these games are more exciting. Now, we've had some blowouts, especially in this Florida-Carolina series. I mean, when Carolina scored and led 1-0 in that game last night, that was their first lead in the series. They'd never had the lead, and it's Game 4.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you. I mean, I'm a hockey fan, obviously, so I think the hockey playoffs, and Jess used to say it's the best playoffs in sports, I mean, you basically...
And the toughest one to win.
Toughest one to win. I mean, if every game you're in, or if every series you're in goes 7, that's another, 28 games that you could potentially play? I mean, that's a small chunk out of your regular season. So just the physical toll that it takes on them, and the banging. I mean, it's just all the intensity. And then you've got situations like Marty's talking about where may not matter what game it is per se, when it's in the playoffs and it's overtime and it's next goal wins. I mean, there's just nothing more intense than that situation.
And
more intense, just because, I don't know, I guess because you're so close to each other all the time and so physical all the time that it's way more. It seems like way more intense than basketball. So I got to give hockey that. I'm just more like Eric. I'm more really into basketball and sport in general.
All right, we say, Little Rock making their run. They lose 13 of their final 14 regular season games. They can't beat anybody, literally anybody. Then they get to the tournament, and they can't be beaten by anybody. That's baseball. Well, you go into the series against the Baltimore Orioles, who had not won 3 straight games all year. They're in last place, the most disappointing team in the sport. Fire their coach, Marty. Starting pitcher is 0-7. Dylan Carlson is only up in the big leagues because of an injury to Tyler O'Neill. He's hitting 133, yet it's 0-7 Charlie Morton beating the Cardinals behind a 3-run homer from Dylan Carlson, who probably, if Tyler O'Neill's healthy, he's not even in the big leagues. That's baseball as well.
I think when Carlson first came up in this stint, he didn't have a hit for days. So he, I don't know if he'll be the next ex-Cardinal to thrive. It seems like that ship has sailed for him, but you never know. But that is baseball. The Cardinals, uncharacteristically made a couple of errors, which they've been playing such unbelievable defense. But anyway, they're definitely a surprise team so far. I heard you guys talking earlier about, what happens if the Cardinals, keep staying in the race, and who knows? But at least I know the crowds are picking up though too. They said they had 3 crowds on the last homestand that were like in the mid to upper 30s.
Yeah, and they sweep Arizona. Mm-hmm. Mike, I think there are some Cardinals. First of all, what else is there in St. Louis this time of year? Cardinals are hot. They're clearly in the race in the National League Central. I'm happy that these crowds are starting to pick up.
Well, I think we've talked about it before. I mean, you finally get to, with a combination of them not playing well, school being in session, questionable weather at times. Well, this weekend, and I know there's some rain in the forecast, this weekend you have all those things kind of cleared out. They're playing well. School's done for the most part. I mean, I know there are some schools that still have to go back after Memorial Day, but and then we had nice temperatures, and I listened, like I said, to a lot of the games, and Rooney a couple of times made comments on the crowds, and not just so much that they're there, but making noise into the game in a way that they hadn't probably observed over the last couple of seasons, and the players talking about how, man, it makes just a huge difference for us. So I think if you want to watch a team that's scrappy and playing a little bit of small ball, how many times have we heard, why don't they bunt the ball? Why don't they steal? Why don't they move the runner over like they did when Whitey Herzog was coach? Well, they're doing those things.
Yeah.
Play some good defense. Well, they're doing those things, So they're doing a little bit of everything that makes it exciting. And even yesterday, down 5-0, they came, next inning, came back, 2-run home run by, was it Pajes? I think they hit it. So, you don't feel like that they're out of it like they have the last couple of years. Get behind by a few runs, think the game's over. They're scrappy and fun team to watch.
Yeah, they play exciting baseball now. If they weren't winning these games and playing exciting baseball, I'm sure that would have an effect. But I think just the fact that the management basically said before the season, our main goal is not necessarily to win this year. You always want to win, but now that they are, it's almost like the players are Marmol are throwing stuff back in the face of management. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you guys can say what you want, but, man, we got enough to win here now. Still a long way to go. We'll see how sustainable it is, but it looks pretty good right now.
What was the dust-up between Descalzo and on Sunday? They were exchanging the lineup cards, and Descalzo went out.
I did not see this.
And they just start chewing at each other at home plate. Kind of leaning in, not like chest to chest, but leaning in a little bit. And
the interim manager of Baltimore?
No, Sunday, final game of the Arizona series.
Torey Lovello?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't know if I didn't recall anything happening, in the previous 2 games that may have, gotten the dander up, but there was a little fire there to start the game on Sunday.
I missed that one too.
Too bad it didn't fire up the Diamondbacks. No. they got swept.
Yeah.
What else, Marty?
Hey, I want to say one thing. I know you guys covered on the station great, and I don't go to a whole lot of games, but I go to a few games. The Catfish are starting this week, and Eric, I don't know if you guys, I know it's been publicized, but how about Gary McClure back coaching in Cape Girardeau?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
You know, it's funny. There was, when he was coaching Austin Peay and they played here against SEMO, there was a game where Jess didn't get into it with McClure, but they had a disagreement because Austin Peay was up big, like 10-1 late in the game, and I don't know if they were playing behind a SEMO runner, but anyway, one of SEMO's runners stole a base, trailing huge, like 10-1, Marty. And when he came up, you know, they do radio. When he came up to the press box, he was talking to Jess before, you know, I talked to Beezer, and he talked to his radio guy. And he was lamenting the fact that he thought it was an insult that SEMO down big would try to steal a base and were successful with stealing. And Jess was like, I don't understand it. It's the other way around. It's the team that's leading who you get mad at when they steal a base. But that was one of the last times I saw Gary McClure. But he's still, I mean, as he takes over the reins of the Catfish, Marty, the all-time winningest baseball coach in OVC history, man. The guy knows how to win.
Well, he had some unbelievable teams. I think one of his teams was made at least one made a regional final, and not get into particulars, but he might still be coaching at Austin Peay. Remember that unfortunate incident he had, Eric?
Yes.
Okay, we don't need to get into that, but I'm sure he might still be coaching there and put that thing. So, but he could definitely, man, he has an unbelievable team. Sent a bunch of guys to the major leagues, and
Tyler Rogers is still pitching in the major leagues for the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, and I remember a catcher, A.J. Ellis.
Yeah, A.J. Ellis.
He's not around anymore. There's a story on him because he actually grew up in Jackson until he was like 12 years old. So I tracked him down when he was with the Dodgers, I guess, and nice guy to talk to.
He was Clayton Kershaw's personal catcher, Marty. They were best buds.
Yeah, but anyway, but it's interesting. Gary McClure. I mean, shoot, a lot of people who follow SEMO will know that guy for sure. And he'd been coaching in that similar kind of league, maybe in that league the last several years. So anyway, thought I'd throw that tidbit in there. I know people probably follow Catfish, know he's the manager, but anyway.
Catfish get going tomorrow, is that right?
Thursday. Home game Thursday.
Okay, Thursday.
Yeah.
The A-Corp Charleston Fighting Squirrels get their season going tomorrow. We got a 6 o'clock doubleheader that we'll have on our sister station, KSIM Radio, and the Squirrels will be hosting a Senior Babe Ruth Regional this year. No World Series in Southeast Missouri this year, so our coverage of summer baseball about to get ratcheted up with the Catfish and the Squirrels. Marty, we will check in with you next week. Always great to catch up.
Sounds good. See you guys.
See you, Marty.
Right. The Love Shack, Marty Michelle. Hello to the lovely and talented Dawn Shawn. She's going to get 2 days off this week.
Wow.
She's getting close. Thursday and Friday. So she is coming to the Squirrels game on Friday. Squirrels play at home tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. And so the lovely and talented ready to come out to a Squirrels game.
Real quick, the Catfish open today.
Okay.
Against the O'Fallon Hoots.
So they're on the road.
On the road.
Okay.
The Thrillville Thrillbillies on the road tomorrow. And then they have the Thrillbillies at home on Thursday to open up the home schedule. Most games throughout the week or weekdays are 6:35, but at least at home. And we'll carry all
we still do all the home games.
All the home games
okay.
right here on SEMO ESPN. So Summer baseball, right when you think you got a little break in the action.
Is
Rusty
Hendricks flying solo with the Catfish this year?
Yeah, Rusty Hendricks on the call.
All right, and that will be on Thursday with Squirrels baseball tomorrow. All right, Mike, once again, happy birthday in your household.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, see you tomorrow.
See you.
Stay tuned. Clinton and Friends coming up. Have a wonderful